my opinion, Phase 4 absolutely sucks. And there are two big reasons as to why I believe that is. Hey, what's up, Nerd Fam? This is your boy. I want to talk to you today about Phase 4 of the MCU, which, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on, y'all might think that it's really great or that it's terrible. I actually am on the camp of it's pretty damn bad. And the reason why I believe that are two main reasons, which I'm going to get into. But let me just start off by saying Phases 1 through 3, for me, wasn't terrible. Now, there were some things that I absolutely disagree with. I did think that Civil War should have been used so early, especially when they didn't have ownership of all these properties, how they handled Spider-Man, tons of things I didn't really agree with. However, one thing I knew was how we got from Phase 1 to 3. I understood how Thanos was involved. I didn't have questions about how we got from point A to point B. That's really the big thing about that. And it seemed like the people who were involved, at the very least, were paying attention to the other films and at least wanted some type of continuity, which is super important if you're going to be making a shared universe. But Phase 4 seems to have other motivations that aren't about the integrity of the continuity, right? So what are these two big problems that I believe are plaguing Phase 4 of the MCU? So, to note, Phase 4 is inherently different because of now the emergence of all these shows that they're interweaving, which isn't a bad thing, right? That's not my issue. My issue is really the execution, who's like leading these shows and what they're inputting. Because I do believe that there are some characters that a show would benefit, like the X-Men and a whole bunch of other things. I actually have a video on that. Check it out. I think you might like it. But there is something to be said about, once again, continuity and the overall direction. And those are the two big things. I'll start with direction because I believe the direction part is the reason why there's a bad or not enough continuity between all these things. So when I say direction, I'm talking about where are these shows going? Where's the universe going? And who is the one deciding where these shows go? They keep on choosing directors who honestly don't care about the source material. Hell, you might not even care about the source material. But that is the reference point for which all of these characters come from. So I am a bit biased towards the source material, but it can change if you still thematically have these characters act the same way they normally would in the comic, except maybe a different event might make it happen. But the directors that are, in charge of like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier don't care about any of that. They don't care about the character. They're just trying to figure out how do they inject what they think this character should act like, or how they see the world, and then superimpose it upon these characters. And that's very shallow because you're basing it upon yourself and not what's really happening throughout the entire universe. And they want them to reflect their personal ideas, and that's actually where they're starting and ending development for these characters. Oh, and in my opinion, they should act like this, or how can a person who's like this wearing the shield and being black act like? And that's really the conversation they want you to have. They don't really want you to care about how they're interacting with everyone else, like all the other Avengers and saving the day, right? And that, even Kevin Feige was talking about that, representation is the number one thing, versus this is where I want the universe to end up. And you can tell that's not where it is because some of these people have barely even read the comics of the people who they are making a show about. The person who made WandaVision didn't really know about Mephisto and the twins, knew about the twins, but didn't really know about the whole Mephisto storyline. So what was she Googling, right? I don't know what was happening there. Sam Raimi, when he made Multiverse of Madness, said he didn't even watch WandaVision. How do you not watch the show, which involves one of the people in the Multiverse of Madness movie who had pretty much the same amount of screen time as Doctor Strange? How do you not watch that? He said he just watched certain moments that he was told to watch. But then if you're just watching the moments, not the show, then the context is just out the window. So how does that make sense? And look, Sam Raimi, he's done some good stuff. Obviously, Evil Dead, the original Spider-Man movies, the Xena series, there's some things that he's really done well. that doesn't mean that he's meant to do everything, and he's not beyond reproach. We have to be able to criticize and go, I mean, you're part of a universe. Why isn't Kevin Feige like more strict when it comes to this? Like, hey, make sure you understand the continuity. And when you look at things like Loki and you see the TVA and they create something like that, and it looks like everyone is kind of forgetting about the fact that these time police now exists, or the bait and switching that they do where they make it seem like this character is going to show up or whatever because they know the fans are going to be looking for it, and then they just don't do it. All right? Or just being inconsistent within their own universe, like in Moon Knight, where it looks like they barely even know what's going on in their own show. And choosing to, once again, make characters and do composite characters pretty much. Like, they're like, oh, I don't like this character, I don't like this character, so let's just combine them both and create, for example, like the Mandarin and Shang-Chi, which was like a combination of Iron Man's villain and what Shang-Chi's adoptive father is supposed to be like, and whatever. It's a father is supposed to be like. It's such a strange clusterfuck of things, and it's really because they have the wrong people helming these projects who really just don't care. And because they don't really care about the characters, they don't really care about that, it leads to continuity issues. Because they're not even paying attention to anything there. It's just vanity projects for them. And because of that, how can Phase 4 be great? Look at the Eternals. I can't believe I forgot about that. What the hell was that? That's such a bad movie. And no, it's not just, some people say, oh, well, people just making a big deal. No, continuity-wise, they really shit the bed on that one. Like, they had the chance to really make the Eternals and all that related to Thanos and really do what they could do there, and maybe even bring out the X-Men, or at least leave the seed of that there. But instead they just made them these like weird machines versus what they were. Literally the comic counterpart, but just a better alternative than what we got. And we got these really weird, bland, super swapped versions, because once again, the people who made that, I forgot the lady who made that, was like, oh, we're not changing anything. We're saying it's true to the comics. She literally said that in an article. Meanwhile, just take a look at the comics, take a look at the film. You tell me if they change anything. Even look at the Miss Marvel show that's coming out now. The actress, everyone involved in it is like, I don't care. She can shoot sausage out of her fingers as long as she's still going through the personal identity. It's like, what are we doing here? Now her powers, she's not an Inhuman anymore, which was part of it. It was part of the whole Inhumanity storyline. So it's like, we don't have the Inhumans, right? Even though Black Bolt did appear in Multiverse of Madness. So we don't have the Inhumans, and her powers are going to be more related to her heritage. That means you are quite literally terraforming the character to make it whatever you want it to be, and not whatever the character is. Now, mind you, I think Miss Marvel's a goofy-ass character. However, if you're going to go with this thing and go, we're loyal to the comics, how are you then going to do whatever the hell it is you're going to do here? They just don't care. They don't care. And Marvel has no problem handing the reins over to these people who don't care about these things, because the main audience, unfortunately, the MCU probably doesn't give a shit either. Like the main audience being like the general audience, and then everyone else who actually spent money and time in a comic book stores buying this stuff traditionally for the last 20 years, like, F them. I guess, right? And in my opinion, because of the lack of direction and poor continuity issues, Phase 4 just seems rather disjointed and just not as good as Phases 1 through 3. Even though 1 through 3 wasn't perfect either, where is this going? Assuming they're going to go a similar route and say Phases 4 through 6 are going to lead to some endgame moment, I'm not sure how good it's going to be, because they don't seem to have a good handle on these characters. So how could they have a good handle on the universe that the characters are in? I don't know. You let me know. Do you love Phase 4? Do you think it's a great thing? Let's have this conversation. If we disagree, we disagree. That's fine. I'm going to say this. If you like Phase 4, you like it, look, you're welcome to like anything. Like, this is just my opinion. So hopefully you can handle opposite opinions without using pejoratives. Because if there's anything that I've seen how toxic stuff happens specifically when it comes to the MCU and the DCEU, is people not being able to handle criticism. Just strange. Whatever. Let's talk about it. Into the nerd.